It's time for QB1 with Crissy Froyd, and we're talking about Sam Howell today, Crissy, who was selected with the 144th overall pick in the draft. I know you know better than anybody that this draft in particular was pretty wild when it comes to where quarterbacks were selected, but how surprising was this selection?
Yeah, I thought that really a lot of people were expecting Sam Howell to possibly be at the end of the first round, and if not, then definitely between the second and the third round. So I thought that he fell a lot further than a lot of people anticipated, and it's really a reason why he could end up being a steal if he does pan out and he enters a situation where he does have a chance of being a starter. And so if he is a starter down the line, then it's obviously going to be really huge value at the fifth round, especially if he goes on to be a really good long-term starter.
What should Washington fans know about his skill set?
Very versatile, I think. I thought that this was a guy that whenever North Carolina had him on the field, that he was good on both the run and the pass, and that perhaps the Tar Heels offense functioned at its best whenever he was equally involved in both aspects of the game. I think he's got underrated arm strength. He told me back at the Senior Bowl that he thought that he had the best arm in the class. Not sure that I quite agree with that statement, but it is strong. He does have the velocity on his throws that he needs. I think that his accuracy is improved. There are some inconsistencies from time to time, but I think that some of that throughout college was that in the last year had a really subpar offensive line. Supporting cast didn't always produce the way that it needed to. So we're kind of left with wondering how much of that was on Sam Howell and how much of it was just him being actually impressive in the face of adversity when other people weren't doing their jobs. So I think that he did some really good things. And then as a runner, really exciting to watch as a runner, in my opinion, really gritty, not afraid to get down in the dirt to move the chains. So I think that whenever we look at Sam Howell, we see the embodiment of toughness really when it comes to just coming in clutch, doing what he needs to do, and then as a runner.
And those intangibles and that kind of dual skill set is something that a lot of teams are looking for in today's NFL. That's something that you think will fit nicely into what Washington does?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've watched them use more mobile quarterbacks like Taylor Heineke, and I think that Sam Howell has the ability to evolve into a more talented Taylor Heineke. So they're two different quarterbacks, but there are some similarities just with looking at the overall skill set broadly. So I think this is somebody who does fit in with the scheme well, and that really might show up to be ahead of schedule. I think that NFL footwork was something that he was kind of set back on a little bit pre-draft. So it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of picks that up and how that transitions. But other than that, I think there's a lot to like here. And this is a guy that you can eventually plug in and play that should do pretty well.
What's the timeline, do you think, for when he could really have meaningful time on the field?
Well, I don't think he's going to make a push for the starting gig this year. I don't think that anyone sees that. But I think he's quickly going to become the backup. And then depending on how the quarterbacks there do with Carson Wentz being there and everything is going to really have a lot of bearing on when he becomes the starter. But I think it's kind of more of a fluid situation as far as the long term goes. But I do think that Sam Howell has starting potential for the Commanders. And then if for some reason that doesn't work out down the line, definitely could get a starting shot with an NFL team.